Well, family, once again, it is on. We are on the 26th day of October as we make our way to the end of October, pushing our way into November. Holiday season about to be in full effect. And it is Wellness Wednesday where your mental health matters because a healthy you is a
It's a
better
better
you.
you.
In the building, yours truly, Joe Dupree, along with my brother Edward J. Brown. And there have been some people dealing with some mental issues of all types. Some are very serious. Some we say, listen, there are mental issues that you brought on yourself because you are either a fan of one school or another. But football season is in full effect. We'll talk about that toward
Yeah.
the end of the show. But tonight we've got some serious conversation to talk about. Of course, we wasn't on last Wednesday. My brother Brown was dealing with a suicide situation. I myself had some issues that I had to deal with, and but we're back on this Wednesday. So how you doing, Brother Brown?
I'm good, man. It's good to be here. It's always good to be with my brother. So, I'm good. How you been?
Man, I am blessed and highly favored. No
What's
complaints.
going
So
on in the yet in the yet? Huh? What's
yeah.
going on down there?
Well, homecoming has came and gone at Southern University, and
Which we were victorious.
this weekend, the 5-2 Southern University Jaguars take on the 7-0 Jackson State Tigers in Jackson. It may be a prelude or a preview of the SWAC
Swag championship.
championship. So it's a big game. Game day gonna be in the building, and let's give the props for why game day is going to be in the building. They're going to be in the building not because of Southern University. They're in the building because of one coach, Deion Sanders, better known as Coach Prime. I'm actually wanting to change the name of Jackson State to DSSU, which is Deion Sanders State University.
Well,
I'm just saying.
I'm a agree to disagree with my brother for just a small fraction of the information. They are there because of Southern University because they know JSU and Southern they're gonna pack the house. They could
Oh,
have
yeah.
went down for any of Jackson State games.
It's
Why
true.
this one?
True.
Because
True.
they know the Jaguars travel.
Yes, sir.
And they also know the Jags got the best chance of giving them that first L.
Okay.
So people that I've been talking to said that, the Jags are finally coming into their own. And if they play like they're capable of playing, this is the best statement I could give. This is the one I contributed to the conversation today. They're gonna have to play some football Saturday.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Yes,
they're
sir.
gonna have to play some football Saturday because
Yeah.
the Jags are hitting their stride right now, and they've been kind of struggling a little bit.
Yes, sir.
They haven't put up all those points on the last couple of opponents, so we're gonna see. It's gonna be a good game, and they're gonna have to play some football, and the Jags gonna have to be consistent because
Yes, sir.
they're not coming up on no junior college or nothing like that. These kids are talented, and they like playing football.
Yes,
Dion
sir.
got these kids like playing football, so.
Yeah, he done put together a dream team. So let's see what the Southern University Jaguars can do against the Jackson State Tigers. It's going to be big time HBCU football in the horseshoe at Veterans Memorial on this weekend. And
Yes,
listen,
sir.
all I can say is it's going to be on ESPN 3. So just tune in and watch the game.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good time. We're gonna have a good.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a good football game. If you like
Yes, sir.
football, this is your weekend.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So
Um,
let's get into it. It's Wellness Wednesday where your mental health matters. Ladies and gentlemen, brother Edward J. Brown from Positive Choices.
well, it's always good to be here, and we always come on here on Wednesdays, and we say sometimes the topic chooses itself. And like Brother Dupree said last week, I was unable to make it, and he had some things going on as well. But I want everybody to understand that if we got to come on here every week, I should say, and say the same thing over and over, if it stops one young person from hurting himself, or if it gives somebody the education and the knowledge to pick up the phone and call somebody because they're thinking about hurting themselves, then we're doing what we intended to do when we started this podcast. Last week, I got a phone call that we lost another 14-year-old future. 14 years old. And it was just a struggle for me because I constantly come on here on Wednesdays and we talk about utilizing mental health services. We talk about asking people, are you okay? We talk about talking to folks about how are you? What's going on with you? You know, and today there's so many different things running through my mind. You know, the young lady's mother was telling everyone that she was in tune to her daughter. She told her daughter she loved her. She was there for her daughter. But what she didn't know was what her daughter was going through internally. So I started thinking about all of the parenting classes that I've given, all of the parents I've dealt with. And today I'm going to pose a question. Do you really know what our youth are going through today?
Preach.
Do you really have a clue of what they're really going through? I just came back, Brother Dupree and I was just rushing to get online and make sure everything was working well because I just came from an anti-bullying rally. And it was a great turnout. A lot of kids, that's what needed to be there. A lot of kids needed to be there, and they were. And I want everyone that watches this podcast to say, you know your children, but do you really know? Because there's so many different parenting styles today that it's hard for us to gauge what the parenting style of this 2022 society really is. I've had parents say, well, I allow my child to be free. What does that mean? I don't even understand what that means. What do you mean be free? Because, Brother Dupree, I could ask a simple question. Why do you not give a 2-year-old a whole bag of double stuffed Oreos?
Because they can't digest it.
Because they'll eat a whole bag and you'll have that black and white creamy vomit all over your house.
Right. That part.
They doesn't have the sense of what we call rationalize how I should not eat all of these. All I know is I like it. It tastes good. I'm going to eat as many as I can.
Correct.
There is a cognitive level that parents have that children have not reached. So we talking about why do you not give a 2-year-old a whole bag of cookies? Why do we allow our teenagers to close the door to their room and you not be allowed? That's the part that gets me. You're not allowed in my room. One of the stories that I tell when I talk about things like this, I worked with a kid, about 12 years ago, 15 years ago. And he seemed as typical of a teenager for that time. And after about 2 or 3 weeks of him coming to me every week, and we were in a group setting, I asked him, why are you in here? Why do you come to this group? And he said, I was building a bomb in my room and it accidentally went off and I got burned on my legs and everything. So they sent me to counseling because I said, how long had you been building this bomb? He said, about 2 months. I said, where'd you learn? Online. I YouTubed it. I said, and your parents didn't know you were building a bomb in your room? And he, with the straightest of faces, and said, my parents not allowed in my room.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what he told me. And the rest of the kids in the group was like, yeah, our parents don't come in our room. And I'm like, wow, this kid was able to build a bomb that almost killed him. So when we start talking about how well do you know your children, how well do we know the children of, if it's not yours, because if you don't have children, you may have nieces and nephews, cousins, but you're going to definitely at some point in your life interact with the young person. Parenting has changed over time to where I feel, now keep in mind, this is me in my 30 plus years of being a clinician. I feel we are not equipping our children with the coping skills they need to deal with societal issues. How to deal with rejection, how to deal with disappointment, how to deal with anger. Because we're not giving them the skills that they need because we're doing what's popular instead of doing what's right. When I find kids who talk to their parents with disrespect, the first thing I always want to ask the parent is, why do you allow that? And the question, if by some chance does come up, the answer seems to be, well, how do you stop it? Now, as a student of human behavior, I find myself questioning people, talking to people, trying to find out. And a lot of the common consensus is the problem is that we have children having children. You can be a grandmother at the age of 40. Oh, shoot, sometimes 30, 35.
Correct.
You can be a grandmother. So my thing is, with life experiences comes wisdom and knowledge, or it should. We have to get back to making sure we equip our children with the skills that they're going to need to successfully navigate society.
Correct.
Now, when I'm talking about skills, I'm not necessarily talking about education, because I know Fortune 500 people who work at Fortune 500 companies that are just extremely, miserable because they don't have the skills to cope with the stress of everyday life. We're talking about giving people giving them the knowledge that they need to deal with those things we just spoke about. Depression,
Correct.
to deal with failure, to deal with, disappointment, to deal with anger, to deal with rejection. Now, I'll show you what I mean, Brother Dupree. And we're going to be a little lighthearted for a minute, but you will definitely be able to relate to what I'm about to say. Everyone over the age of 40 has done the walk of shame. Now, you may say, what's the walk of shame? Here's the walk of shame. We at the party, at the dance.
Correct.
There's two girls way over there. And I say, man, I'm going to go ask her to dance. And you, my boy, you going to pump me up. Go on, do it. Go on, get it. Yeah, she going to. And I take that walk all the way over there.
Right.
And I say, you want to dance? And she look at me and say,
no.
Now,
no.
Everybody at that dance in your mind just saw you get rejected.
Correct.
You got to turn around and walk all the way back with your friends laughing, anybody else that saw you laughing. And we come back and what we say, I don't care. I'm going to ask somebody else. Right. We had to learn how to deal
with rejection.
But now, let me go ahead on and ask her. So if she says no, no one knows but me.
Right.
But what happens when you got to go to a job? And I had my son tell me years ago, he said, Dad, people don't go into the workplace no more. All of that stuff is done on a computer. Because I said, I remember when you have to get up early in the morning and start going into places asking them, are they hiring? Our children don't have skills to deal with rejection. That's why no one ever gets cut from the football team anymore. If you go out for the football team, you make the football team. Whether you play or not, because they don't want you to feel bad, so they don't cut you. Our children they don't know how to deal with disappointment. They don't know how to deal with the barrage of emotional variables that come at them all the time.
Correct.
You know, how does that young man deal with the fact that he's been liking this girl all his life, and he finally mustered up enough confidence to say something to her, and she blows him out of the water? There was a school shooting just a few days ago.
Correct.
And the young man said, I am textbook school shooter. I was isolated. I was rejected. I don't have any family connections. He gave a list of things that described him, that in his mind validated why he was a school shooter. I'm tired, but I'm going to continue to press forward until someone hears me and says, you know, you're right. We need to start giving out our children coping skills. Now, we can take this and go in a whole different direction. Just time will make you a man. Time will make you
Correct.
a woman. But time will not make you a lady, and it will not make you a gentleman. When you
Correct.
become a certain age, you're a woman. But you're not a lady. Somewhere you have to be taught the mannerisms, the ideologies, the practices of a lady, just like a man. You get to a certain age, you're a man, but you're not a gentleman. That's somewhere you were taught.
Correct.
You were given that knowledge, that wisdom. That's the same way we do with coping skills. How many times have you been in your room, Brother Dupree, angry at your parents?
You're right.
And you was like, what you said? Nothing?
Nothing.
You saying something in there? No, ma'am.
Nothing.
Nothing? Oh, because I thought I heard you say something. No, ma'am. Because we did not want the wrath. But now I've been in the room, in this office, where I've heard children cuss their parents. Now, guess what? I'm the one that says, oh, we're not having that. We're not going to have that in here. And I said, we're not going to have that disrespect in here. And do you know what happens? They adhere to my request. Don't do that. Don't curse in here. Which leads me to another variable. If we lead, they will follow. Children want to be led. They want to know, what is it going to take for me to be that person I want to be?
Right.
I had a young 14-year-old white girl come in here yesterday. And when we were talking, she was very open because she had been court-ordered to come for anger management. She was very open about how she felt. And, you know, she was in the middle of a fight because someone was, guess what? Brother Dupree, let me ask you a question.
Talk to me.
All right, you ready? What two words put together has caused more fights on this planet than any other two words in the world?
Let me think.
That ain't a hard one. If you say these two words together, oh, we got to fight. It's time to fight.
I'm lost, man. What the two words?
Yo mama.
Oh, that's it.
Look, you
That's
went,
it. Oh,
those
that's
two
it.
words put together has caused more fights on this planet than any other two words put together ever. And she was in the middle of a fight because somebody was talking about her mama.
Mm.
Now, her mama came in. Her mama said, I don't need you to fight for me. I don't need you to, I'm fine. They can say what they want about me. We have to get to the point where we have to teach them how to get where they want to be. So she was so shocked at 14 years old that I said, y'all want to sit there and you want to listen to this stuff, Kevin Gates, and Kevin Gates. I've heard his music before. I said, but in the famous words of Ice Cube was doing an interview about 15 years ago, and he said, there ain't no gangsters making music. We musicians. We millionaires. He said, once you start making money, you ain't no gangster. He said, you ain't selling no dope in it. He said, but we can say anything we want in these rhymes, and these kids believe it. He said, how you struggling? You got diamonds in your teeth. I was like, yeah. I said, Kevin Gates has not been doing bad for a very long time. His tickets were $150 for the Lakefront Arena just a month ago.
Come on, talk to me.
You know what I mean? So all of that stuff he's rapping about, that might have been at some point, but not now. He's a very successful businessman. So if we come together and we tell our kids, we're no longer going to do what's popular, we're going to do what's right because it's what's best for you. Gail Brown used to say something that would drive me bananas. She would tell me to do something, and then she would say, I know you don't want to do it, but do it anyway. It builds character. And I started saying, what is this character? I'm 8, 9 years old. What is this character thing? But she would say, do it anyway. It builds character. So here I am, 57 years old. And when I talk to kids and I say, the difference between a leader and a follower? A leader is willing to do what nobody else will do. They're willing to do what the other people don't want to do. So when we get to the point where we're done doing what's popular and start doing what's right for our young people, the gentleman who spoke at the rally today, the Honorable Tony Heidelberg, he's a judge in this area. He said, everybody has control over themselves. The bully, the bullied, and the bystanders all have control over themselves. So we are at this point now where I'm tired of burying our young future.
Correct.
So if I got to come on here every week and say the same thing every week, I will.
If we just save one.
If we save just one. But at the end of the day, we can get together and we can cheer for our favorite teams. We can talk trash to one another.
Correct.
Because we have skills. We have the know-how, the knowledge that is just a game. And when it's over, we're going to go and get ready for next week. But Brother Dupree, these young kids, they're fighting at the games, at college football games.
You right.
That doesn't us old folks that want to talk trash and then leave and go home and have a drink. We can't because it's people falling all over you because they fight because they talking trash.
Right.
They don't have the skills, you guys. And that's our fault. But we can fix it. We can fix it. We can take the the CDs, because we've upgraded. It was 8-track, and then they were cassettes. Then we were cassettes, and they were CDs. Now we're CDs, and they're streaming.
Right.
So I asked my kids, I said, I had to change out the CDs in my car. And they was like, you got CDs? I said, yeah. They said, I just hooked my phone up to my car. And I said, well, my car don't have all that. But at the end of the day, I know what streaming is. I have all of the streaming service, Disney Plus, Hulu, and Netflix. Right. I got all of that too. I know what it is. But I also got DVDs under the bottom of my television also.
Right.
Hell, if you really twist my arm, I still got a
VHS somewhere.
I still have some of those too.
Somewhere.
Yeah, I still have some of those too. We're going to give the kids the skills that they need. We're going to teach them the difference between cost and value. We're going to teach them the difference between spirituality and religion. Because they go to church, but are they getting what they need?
Correct.
This child was 14 years old and had a good home life, but was dealing with a lot at school and in her friends. So much so, she did not feel she could make it. Wow. Can you imagine the worst day you've ever had, Brother Dupree? Just the worst day in the world. And you made it to today. How about that? The worst day you ever had, you made it to today. I remember, I got to tell you a quick story. I was at Southern University, and I needed a job. So I applied for this job at a maintenance company. And when I went, the guy said, can you do floors? I said, oh, yeah, absolutely. He said, you know how to do floors? I said, yes, sir. He said, okay, good. We're going to put you with Mr. Anderson. Now, at that time, I might have been 21, 22 at the most. Mr. Anderson was in maybe 60, and he was the head floor guy. So they sent me to a car dealership. Sent me to a car dealership. And, you're supposed to spray the stuff and then hit the buffer and make the showroom floor real shiny. So I get the machine off the truck and put it on the floor and plug the machine in. And I get my spray bottle with my wax in it. And I hit a few sprays in the front of the machine. And when I hit the thing on the machine, it flew into the side of one of those brand new cars and made a dent about this big. And I was like, oh. So I said, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to just leave that and go far away from the cars. So I get the machine again and I sprayed. And when I hit the machine, this time it went into the wall and made a big hole like this in the wall. And I was like, oh, I know I'm fired. My first day on the job, I'm fired.
Oh, Lord.
About 3 hours later, here comes my supervisor. Oh, wise man. And he's standing over me, looking at the hole in the wall. And he said, you never did floors before, have you? I said, no, I just needed a job. And to this day, I never forgot this dude because he told the people that he did it. Now, they know he was lying because this dude had been doing floors for 40 years. But the guy who owned the car dealership, he does, the old guy did the floors in his house.
Okay.
So he told him, don't worry about it. That's not, we can send that to the body shop. They'll take care of that. And I know y'all going to fix the wall. And the man told me, he said, come up here. He said, come up here Saturday. I said, okay. And when I went up there Saturday, him and I went into the warehouse, and that dude showed me how to do floors.
Okay, that's what I'm talking about.
He showed me how to do hardwood floors. He showed me how to do ceramic floors, what to use, what not to use, how to hold the machine, how to make it put pressure on one end and not on the other end. He showed me how to do floors.
Come on.
That's what we have to do with our kids.
Come on.
We have to go get them and show them how to deal with disappointment, how to deal with, failure. The young lady at Southern, they said she was very down because she was failing one of her classes. I'm here to tell you, with all of that, I failed some classes. I failed some classes.
Yeah. Come on now.
Tell
the truth. Shame the devil.
Yeah, shame the devil. I failed some classes. And I've taken classes that I did exceptionally well in.
Come on.
But at the end of the day, I had the skills that made me able to cope with failing and trying again. You never know how God's going to bless your life later in life. I was able to take Spanish 3 times, passed it 3 times, and still cannot speak very much Spanish.
Come on, talk to me. Talk to me.
I'm blessed to travel and go to plenty places that speak Spanish. Yeah. I should have learned it instead of just memorizing to pass a class. I am being transparent right now.
Right. Because that's what we have to do. Listen, we many a times, my brother, and let me come on camera with you. Many a times, the problem with a lot of us is we only want to tell people the good parts of our lives. Oh, well. We want to seem like we've always been Prince Charming, or we've been the damsel in distress.
We don't have any mistakes in our lives.
Right. We don't want to tell folk the truth. We don't want to tell them the bad and the ugly. We only want to speak about the good. Mm-hmm. And not knowing no good mariner becomes a good mariner because he's been sailing on calm seas.
Correct. And it's funny. The children want to hear that. They want to hear about your struggles and you overcoming and you doing this and do the times that you had a hard time with this. I remember when that same story I just told you about doing floors. When I told that to my kids, they thought it was hilarious. But at the end of the day, they said, my dad struggled too. He had some mistakes in his life too. And my kids love, because I've had a bazillion jobs before I actually graduated from college.
Come on, talk to me, brother.
Hey, man, look, Brother Dupree, I worked at a supermarket and nobody knew I worked there.
Okay.
I went to work. I went to apply for the job. Dude said, you're hired. When you can start? I said, I can start right now. He said, okay, you work right now, and then you come back tomorrow at 10 o'clock in the morning. I said, okay. I worked that night. I was wrapping the meat, putting the meat in the container on the scale and covering it with the cellophane, and went home. Next morning, I was excited. I said, I got a job. Went back. It was the superstore. You remember the superstore? I went to the superstore.
Okay.
And Brother Dupree, the next day I went in there and the dude was like, I go and get my little apron, and he said, who are you? I said, I work here now. And they were like, who hired you? I said, well, Joe hired me. Joe who? I said, well, I don't know his last name. And he was like, okay, well, you can stock these cans and put the cans on the shelf. I said, okay. Did that a whole night. Went back the next day, and nobody still knew who I was or what I was supposed to be doing. And I asked the guy, I said, there's a guy, Joe, and I described him to him. They said, oh, yeah, he don't work here no more. I was like, so do I work here? They was like, I don't think so. 3 days, I was like, oh, well, I got to go find another job. Many different jobs. Pizza delivery, I did that. Security guard, I did that. I worked at a hospital. I mean, I did everything to help develop me into who I am today.
Come on.
We have to take this knowledge that we have, and we got to open up our children's doors in their rooms and go and talk to them. Whether they want to hear it or not, put the phones down. Let's talk. Like you always say, let's share dinner together, put the phone down, and let's talk.
Right. Because life is an uphill battle. Life is not, we're in this instantaneous social media. Here's what really kills me is how so many people try to feel like they can become an overnight viral success, and that changes the trajectory of everything. And don't get me wrong, it can happen, but the truth about it is nothing really happens in life unless you put the work in. There's very few overnight sensation, instant lottery winners. We're in the have it your way type society, Burger King, and then we ask ourselves, why is mental health so in a decline within community of colors? Come on, listen to this. Like you said, there's been a school shooting in St. Louis. There has been murders and suicides and things happening in our little communities in the cities that we live in. So not talking about what's happening on a national scale, but if I put it in the microcosm of what's happening on your street, in your neighborhood, in your city, correct, there's enough going on to make you need to talk to somebody.
And here's the thing. You cannot worry about the stigma.
Come on.
You cannot worry about what the next person is going to say. You have to get to the point where the peace that you're looking for, you find it in here. Folks will be it's people talking about me right now I don't even know.
Come on.
There's people talking about me right now that I never met. Think about that. That's never met me. That's never had a conversation with me. But they have something to say about me. If I worried about that, I would be miserable. And I don't have time in my life to be miserable. I'm trying to be happy.
Correct.
I'm trying
to be
happy.
Life is too short.
Life is very short.
Life is too short for you to, if you could only understand, I can still remember when I was in my 20s. I'm headed towards 60. Life is short and it moves quickly, much quicker than you think.
And you know what really makes you realize that? Homecoming. When you go to homecoming and you see people, I was like, I knew you when I was 20 something.
Okay.
We were friends when I was 23 years old. 22 years old. It really makes you, that's the whole point of homecoming, to reflect back on your time at that particular university with those particular people.
Correct.
I tell young people this, and I'm going to start to wrap this up. Everything that we're trying to get you to do, and that goes back to what you just said about the generation that they're in and the society that they're in. Everything that we have you doing now is not for now. It's for later on in life. When my mother was telling me to build character, that wasn't for right now. It was for when I became an adult. The skills of coping with disappointment, with anger, with rejection, all of these are skills that you're going to need to go through adulthood. I challenge every person, like we said today at this bullying rally, link up with one adult. Every kid, find that one adult that you feel comfortable talking to. If we can just do that, we will see the decline in teenage depression, teenage suicide, if we could just link them with one adult that they feel comfortable talking to.
Correct.
It will allow them to purge these feelings and get hopefully some clarity, some understanding about what you need. I have young people coming now because they're confused about God, about religion. I was just told, just believe. That's all you do. Don't ask no questions. Just believe. These kids today got questions. I had a young 7-year-old girl ask me, is God a woman? That's what she is. At 7 years old. Is God a lady? And we have to be there to answer these questions for them.
Right.
Or if nothing else, to feel comfortable with them talking to us.
Correct.
I challenge everybody, get one kid and talk to that one kid. Let that kid know that it's okay for them to talk to you.
Correct.
They can come to you about whatever it is. My son used to always say, Dad, I got to tell you something. You got a problem, promise not to get mad. I said, I can't make that promise. But I will promise to listen to you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I can't promise to not get mad, but I'll promise to listen. And for him, that was enough. I'll listen to my dad. My dad will listen to me. Everybody was watching this podcast. Talk to one young person and let them know that they can come and talk to you. And hopefully we will see a decrease in our young people taking their lives and our young people struggling to find out where they fit in our society.
Correct. I mean, it's up to us. You know, the craziest thing, Brother Edward, is many a times we point fingers at everybody but ourselves. And the truth about it is these children, you're the parents. They're your children.
But we want to be friends instead of parents.
Come on. Speak on it.
Yeah, we want to be our children's friends. And I'm not ashamed. One day I'm gonna have to get her to come on here as one of our guests. I'm gonna bring Gail Brown on here because I'm gonna tell you like this. Me and Gail Brown weren't friends, I don't think, until I left to go to college. Before that, she was my mama. That was right. You know. And when I left home at 17 years old. I made my 18th birthday at Southern University.
Come on now.
And before, my mama didn't care whether I liked what she said. She didn't care whether, look, I'm mama, and my job is to keep you alive in the city of New Orleans and to make sure that you are a successful, productive citizen of this country. And I was like, gee whiz. And she was like, I know you don't like it, but if you don't, it don't matter. It builds character. Today, I was that kind of parent. I was that parent where I was kind of the heavy, you know. I was the heavy. I did what was right and not what was popular all the time. But now, even my son will say, Dad, I appreciate it. Because he's a dad now. And he realizes I want to stay up and play video games with the boys all night, but they got to go to school.
Right.
So I got to put them to bed early.
Right.
I know they want to eat cookies like they poppy all day long, but they got to eat some vegetables and protein.
Right.
And he said, now I understand what you mean about doing what's right instead of what's popular. He said, I get to do what's popular sometimes, but I have to also do what's right. And it's not enough of us trying to be parents. Too many of us are trying to be friends. Now, you'll get that population that'll say, well, why can't you be both? Well, my thing is, you know what's working.
Right, correct.
You know what works. You know, I remember, and we can, again, take a little lighthearted moment. I remember the first time I was at one of my friend's house, and I heard him call his mama by her first name.
You were like, oh, wait a minute. Houston?
Yeah. I said, did he just say Janice? And his mama say, what? I said, you call your mama by her first name? I remember going to one of my friends' house and he could curse at his house.
Well, hold it and watch this. And as we go through the progression of time, things change.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I still laugh and tell people, you know, like I tell my children, I say, you know, when I grew up, when I was your age or younger,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I only had 3 TV channels.
Yeah,
I didn't
ABC,
have
CBS, and NBC.
and the national anthem played at 12 o'clock midnight if you could stay up that long. Because if
And
you
in the
stayed,
snow.
if you stayed up that long, you were somebody special. Because most back in my days, you know, the truth about it is most folks were in bed between 8 and 9, maybe 10 o'clock at the latest. You know, you wasn't up until midnight. You know, you wasn't, you know, our phone was a rotary phone. You know, we didn't have Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. You know, I knew where everybody was at because when we were walking or riding or going somewhere, I saw a whole bunch of bicycles in somebody's yard. My people over there, you know, my folk over there, you know, but times have changed. So here's what I say with that. I understand that we're not dealing with the same times that I dealt with back in the 70s and the 80s.
Right.
However, you have to take some of the good from those days and mix it with some of the intuition and the ingenuity and the youth and the the vitality of today. You know, there's some great things that have came from technology today that I wish we had back in the day. But guess what? We're always evolving. I'm pretty sure if I could sit down with an Egyptian and show him from ancient Egyptian times what's going on right now, he would be completely flabbergasted.
Yeah, floored.
You know, however, it's about the complete evolution. Even if I could go back and talk to my great grandmother who was born in the 1800s, you know, if they would see some things that were going on right now, they'll probably be like, oh my God. You have to understand, there are some people from the 1910s and 20s never saw the man on the moon. You know, so just imagine
let alone a black president. Oh my God.
Right. You imagine 100 or 200 years from now how we will have evolved, and folks will be talking about, so yeah, we want to show you this old ancient video podcasting they used to do back in the cut. You know, that's just the truth about it. But you know, every generation has the evolution. And every generation has the elders who say, if you only knew what I knew back when I did it. You know, we should be at the point of a people that we want to see our future generations not suffer and go through what we went through.
Exactly.
In order for them to succeed. Too many people have what I call, I want to see you suffer like I suffer in order to achieve what I achieve. I personally don't want to see nobody go through what I went through to get what I got.
Yeah, I agree with you. And we have to want our children and society to be better than it was when we were at a particular point in our progression.
Come on.
We have to want progression. And in order to, you know, everything old is not good.
Right.
You know, if that's the case, we wouldn't be paying double for antique cars.
Right.
You know, we have to start getting to the point where we start to say there's something good that can be taken away from every timeline in our society.
And there's some things that are bad that we need to leave there and never revisit again.
That's right. That's right. You know, which I'm going to give a glimpse into what we're talking about. I'm going to give a glimpse into next week's show. If everything changes, everything, time, music, television, food, we ain't eating the same things we ate 30 years ago.
Come on.
Ideologies, everything changed, right? Why are we still dealing with racism and prejudice? The same things we dealt with in 1922, we're dealing with in 2022.
Come on.
Why is that? That's what we're going to talk about next week. So
we definitely and set the plate for him, because right now we're going to kind of, in these last 10 minutes, like I said, a lot of stuff is going through a lot of people's minds right now. Of course, look at what's going on with Kanye West. Everybody, and look, I'm going to make it perfectly clear to you. I believe, though I'm not an expert, no, I'm not a professional, I believe either the young man is in his own little world and he doesn't mind self-destructing because he believes he can reinvent himself, or he has some real mental issues.
I am a professional, and that right there, all of that you just said, yes.
So but I even go a little bit deeper sometimes to make people say, listen, understand this. Once again, I'm not a professional. I'm just the guy who helps host this podcast. He's the professional, Mr. Brown. But this amazes me how Kanye had desecrated, downed, demoralized people who look just like him. And we took him from 500 million in debt to a billionaire. Now, listen what I said. He talked about us and we black folk of color. We took him from 500 million in debt to billionaire status.
Correct.
Why could we not follow the blueprint of the Jews and say, you ain't going to talk about us like that? Exactly. We're going to cancel you out.
We are the most forgiving group of people on the planet. We are willing to overlook so much that's been done to us. We are one of the few people, because if we were not, we would be like the Jews, and our dollar would circulate within the African-American community 8 to 10 times like it does in the Jewish community, like it does in the Vietnamese community, like it does in the gay and lesbian community. A dollar circulates less than 2 times in the African-American community.
And we wonder why we got mental health issues.
Correct. That's something that should make us sad. A dollar in the African-American community circulates less than twice. Jewish communities, Vietnamese, Hispanic communities, 8 to 10 times before it leaves their community.
Come on, family. We got to wake up. We got to really wake up.
Kanye West is ill. That brother is ill. And the fact that media, this is the part that I think we need to understand.
They have given him a platform.
Yes, not just that, but they're spotlighting him and his illness to ridicule us as a whole.
Right.
People don't realize that. If Kanye West was why they're not, they're not talking about Nipsey Hussle. He's dead, but that brother talked about black economics.
Come on. And that's why they don't want you. They do not want you to be the producer.
Right.
They want you to be the employee.
And the consumer.
Right.
Always the consumer. Right. I think that at some point, we have to look at that brother and say, they are using you as a spectacle.
Right.
They're using you as an opportunity to say, look at him. The same way they did this Will Smith, Chris Rock thing.
Right.
One time we give you control over the Academy Awards.
The same way they're using Herschel Walker in Georgia.
In Georgia, exactly. Look at this dude. He's detached, just like Kanye. That lets you know all of them are detached. But we have to really start to look at this thing, this whole machine. Here's my thing. You don't like black people. Now, I'm not using anyone in particular, or white people. You may not like white people. You ain't like, but yet you walking around here with all of these jerseys with their names on the back.
Right.
I look at every time I go to the Saints game. I look and I'm like, wow, look at all of the Alvin Kamara jerseys. Look at all of the Cam Jordan jerseys, the Mario Davis jersey, the Honey Badger jerseys now.
And here's why. Here's why. There is a subconscious programming that says we can entertain you by catching the ball. throwing the ball, shooting the ball. We can entertain you by singing and dancing. However, when we try to aspire to the levels of a King, an X, a Byron Allen, when we get to the places where we begin to own, shape,
Yep.
we begin to construct banks and begin to show how wealth can be moved like it was in Black Wall Street, then all of a sudden now we got Houston, we have a problem because you were designed to entertain us by catching balls, throwing balls, pitching balls. You know, you were designed to run for us. Run, boy, run. You know, but at the end of the day, when you get to the intellectual level that you say, look, I don't have to go to Harvard. I can get with some intellectuals and we can make our own Harvard. We can make a Harvard where nothing but folk that look like you and I there. See, a lot of folk don't want to tell the truth. The reason the Romans showed up to the shores of Egypt was not because of Cleopatra and her beauty, but it because of the knowledge that they had in Cairo and the things that they needed in the Egyptian libraries to take back to Plato and Socrates so that they can begin to establish what they need to establish. See, here's why a lot of folks don't want to tell you. Last time I checked, the first upright walking individual on this planet was found on the continent of Africa.
Well, first of all, we gotta rewrite that movie because a lot of folk don't realize Egypt is in Africa.
Right.
See, Yul Brynner and it was a Captain Hepburn. No, what was the other lady?
No, Elizabeth Taylor.
Taylor, Yul Brynner. All of that 10 Commandments, them folk didn't look like real Egyptians.
No, sir.
So now when you sit there and you ask a young kid, where is Egypt? They think it's in the Middle East somewhere.
Right. They don't understand Egypt is a part of Africa. They don't understand Morocco is a part of Africa. Correct. They don't understand that Africa is still to this day the most richest natural resource place on this planet.
70% of the world's diamonds come from Africa.
Come on. Hold it.
62% of the world's gold comes from Africa.
Oh, last time I checked, and God bless her soul, because she's don't transition on to the other side. But the crown that the Queen of England wears, the diamond that's on that crown, came from the beautiful continent of Africa.
Correct.
Out of the country of South Africa. So come on, y'all. Listen. Don't let these folk tell you what you not. You got to start researching who you are for yourself and stop letting folks tell you that all you were meant to be was a slave and a servant, and all you're supposed to be is somebody's employee. Because as long as you walk into any place with that mentality, you will only be what you see.
Well, as we sit here today and we say we have to save our youth, teach them, educate them.
Come on.
Let them know that there's nothing off the table that we can't talk about.
Come on.
That if it's on your mind, let it be on your lips. Because I'm listening. If nobody else talks to a young person today, anybody that watches this podcast, I challenge you to get that one person. If you got one in your house, go lay in the bed with them and talk to them.
Come on.
Yeah, open up the door to their room.
Right.
And go lay in the bed and talk to them.
Because it's your house.
Because it's your house, right?
It's your house.
You know, it's time for us to do something different because what we're doing is not working well enough. If it's working, it's not working well enough.
Come on.
So, you know, I want to say go Jags. I think that the Jags are going to pull it out this weekend. If we play the
wait a minute. That's your prediction?
Yep.
Okay.
I predict the Jags by 10.
Okay. So let me tell you. So we will end this last 2 minutes of the show with this. Okay. Understand, Jackson State barely won last year, but congratulations to them because a win is a win, no matter if it's by 1 point.
That call in the end zone did it. Yeah.
That's fine. But hey, up until that point, Jackson State had not knew in any shape, form, or fashion how to beat Southern University. Every dog has his day. Now, I will say this. Coach Deion Sanders, better known as Coach Prime, has an outstanding team at Jackson State, but I do not believe that they are unbeatable.
Nope, I don't
And at the end of the day, all I can say is this. I'm not here to brag or to boast. The only way you can shut Deion and Jackson State up is you got to beat them. And if this Saturday we beat them, we're going to shut them up. Yep. If we don't beat them, all I can do is give them their props and tell them you are who they say you are.
That's it. My thing is, moving. What I tell folks all the time, on any given Saturday,
come on.
After all the talking is said and done, you got to play football.
That's it.
After all the time, we can sit here and talk all day. If Deion was next to me, we could talk trash all day. But
come on,
Saturday, we got to play the game.
Right. That's the point. And with that being said, I know you're going to be in Jackson, Mississippi.
I'll be there.
I'll be on my way to Jackson, Mississippi. Game day will be in Jackson, Mississippi. And once again,
show up, Jags.
And I want anybody watching this who go back and try to run and tell that, I'm going to be crystal clear to you. I understand because I used to work for ESPN. Those who don't know, I used to be the program director. To be exact, I was the first African-American program director of ESPN in the state of Louisiana. So let me say this to y'all, because I still have good friends at ESPN. The only reason ESPN even put this game on the map is, A, they did know that Jackson and Southern was playing, but the only reason they're really watching HBCUs the way they are is because of Deion. So I got to give Coach Prime his props.
Love to that brother. Much love to that brother.
And regardless of how arrogant you may think he is, regardless of what his agenda may be, I can say this. The last time I saw this much attention on the HBCU was when the great late Coach Eddie Robinson was about to
get that 400 win
and beat Bear Bryant's record.
Bear Bryant. Yep, that's right.
So with that being said, hey, big ups to Deion Sanders, Coach Prime. Big ups to the Jackson State Tigers for being undefeated. Yep. However, understand this: ain't nobody scared of you.
Nope.
And we coming to play some football.
We come play some football.
So have yourself together, because just like you beat us last year at our home, we may come and beat you at your home this year.
Tape up extra, put some extra tape on, Tigers, because the Jags coming.
Come on, that part. With that being said, close us out, Brother Brian.
Hey, you know what we always say, go Jags. And if nobody else told you today, we love y'all. See you next week. Peace.